come forward. I like the way
And talk.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. So I know when I talk to you today, some of you are parents and some of you are not parents. I guess my message to you today is probably addressed to the ones of you who are not parents. More of a note of caution, right? So really, what do you know about being a parent? I would argue nothing, right? Prior to becoming a parent, you really don't have any clue. So what is a definition of a parent? Maybe we should start with that. What do we actually consider being a parent? We would assume that a parent is somebody who has a child or a person who is dependent upon them. You can get children in a whole bunch of different ways. We won't even go into that, okay? But let's just say that you acquire a child. Now the interesting question is, having acquired the child, what have you really signed up for? Because this is one of the things that isn't really laid out when people are thinking about becoming a parent. So arguably, if we take a look at the legal definition of what we're told, you now have signed up for a responsibility for this human being for 18 years. So in the U.S., up until 18, you're considered to be a dependent. Dependent means you have a parent, and that means that the parent has responsibility to take care of you. After 18, at least legally speaking, they're out. They're on their own. As a parent, you can stop doing things for them, and that's okay. Nobody comes after you, all right, because they're an adult. Okay? Now if we take a look at sort of the socio-religious, moral obligations, bad news, you actually signed up for a lifetime, okay? Way beyond that 18. Apparently you're on the hook to provide support for this person. Okay, so just, if you're pondering, if you're thinking about becoming a parent, please understand that with a little luck, and assuming they don't do stupid stuff like skydiving or bungee jumping or something like that, you've signed up for the rest of your life to be responsible for making this person be successful and stuff like that. So, let's back up. So what do parents actually do? Well, one of the most important things that parents do is they provide food. Now, you would think that that's basically a pretty simple sort of thing to do, right? It turns out it's a little bit more complex than you might think, because it turns out the people, the children in your life, may not enjoy the same sorts of food as you. So now you have an interesting issue. It's where you have to feed yourself, which hopefully you're probably pretty good at, but you also have to feed this other person or persons, and they may have to be provided with a separate or a different meal from you. Now, remember, also, we all come into this world a little bit different from all of the other ones of us. Oftentimes, children have very interesting, food allergies, or things they shouldn't eat. For example, man, I got the coolest pizza the other night. Turns out the place where I get pizzas from, you can select what you want to have the crust. And I'm sort of trying to run the kids through all the different crusts just to give them different experiences. So I got sesame seeds. Yeah, sesame seeds. What do sesame seeds taste like? Nothing, right? But we're going to introduce the kids to sesame seed. Comes home, my wife says, hey, that is so cool. Did you know that your eldest son ranked super high on sesame seed as far as the things that he's allergic to? And I looked her straight in the eye and said, yes. Let's see how it goes. No, sesame seeds? Who's allergic to sesame seeds? And they're so innocuous. But anyway, if the person you've decided to be a parent for has all sorts of food allergies, now you have to get food for you, and you have to get food for them, and apparently there's food that you have to not get for them. Now, when you present them with food, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to eat it. So apparently you present them with the food, and now you have to stay with them during the course of the meal, and you have to urge them to consume the meal, because if they don't consume the meal, they don't take in enough calories. If they don't take in enough calories, they won't be healthy and go on. So it's your job to get another human being to actually eat a meal that you prepared for them. And you would think, wow, how hard could that be? It's very hard in certain circumstances. And even worse, they want to eat the wrong things. Oh, lollipops? Why, certainly. No, broccoli! No, I don't want to eat. Okay, anyway, you get the gist of it. What else do you have to do if you decide to become a parent? Well, the person that's in your life, by law, must be educated. Okay, so what are we actually talking about? We're talking about elementary school, we're talking about middle school, and we're talking about high school. We're talking roughly, I think it's 12 years of publicly paid for, so you don't have to pay for it, education. However, as a parent, you need to, number one, dress them for school. Lots of schools have school uniforms. Number two, every single morning during the school year, you have to wake them up and make them be presentable to go to school. You generally have to give them a breakfast. Okay, although there are free breakfasts at schools, and my son happens to enjoy it very much. So he has breakfast at home and he has breakfast at school. Go figure that one. Then you have to make sure they get to school. A lot of different ways to do it. There's a big yellow bus. That's fine, big yellow bus is good, but that means that you have to figure out where the bus stop is. You have to make sure they get to the bus stop in time to get on the bus, and you have to provide a backup for those days that they're a little slow getting out of the house, and they get to the bus stop just enough time to wave to the bus as it goes away. Because then you're the backup to get them to school. They go to school, they do school stuff, and then they come home. So you have to figure out how they're going to get into your house when they come home. If you're there, you have to unlock the door for them. You really do have to do this. If you're not there, you have to make sure that they can get into the house, because the neighbors don't like it if your kids are camping out on your front lawn until you get home at 7 or whenever you get home from work. Okay? While they're at school, they're supposed to do work, and they get graded on that work. When you hang out with other parents, how your child does in school ranks you as a parent with other parents. So you really don't care how they did on the math test, but it impacts your social standing. So it's important that they did well, so that when you're being social, you are ranked higher than the next door's neighbors whose kids just suck at math.
Bumper sticker.
Okay? You've seen the bumper stickers. My child was like, that is a badge. And you don't get the badge if they don't do well at school. All right? So that means when they bring homework home, you have to make sure they do homework, because oddly enough, they don't like to do homework. So you have to sit with them, make sure they do the homework. Then you have to prepare a meal for them, and you have to sit with them and make sure they eat the meal. And then when all that's done, they have to go to bed, which coincidentally they don't want to do either, right? So that means you have to force them to go to bed, and then you have to perch there and wait for them to actually go to sleep, so that the next morning you can get them up again and do it all over again. Parenting, it's the best job you'll ever love. Mr. Interim Temporary Toastmaster, because I forgot, sir.
If I had a thought of having kids, I think it's enough.
Shatish, how much time are you going to need to run the election?
I don't know.
Can we do that at the end?